be up under some type of pressure. And I'm just like, I used to think about, people who, not on welfare, but people who don't work. And they're at this solace in their life where they're dealing with different type of issues, but there's no corporate interest running through them on a daily basis. There's no job running through or dictating their time share and their time shift on a daily basis. And so I was like, do I have it in me to be that still? And COVID forced me to be that way. Come up, I think, in another 3 months. Early next year in March, it'll be 2 years I've been out of work. 2 years since I've been out of work. 2. I've had so much time to fix issues, but the issues I need to get fixed, COVID is right there in that. I can't up and run to a doctor's office or hospital like I want to. I can bring home something that'll kill me and my mom in a single breath. And I'm like, what in the hell am I supposed to do? Just take medications and exercise at home? That's pretty much all you can do. I had to reevaluate, coming into that place where you've accepted yourself, no matter the degree, no matter the circumstance. And that's kind of like where I am now. I'm at this place where COVID should have had me hanging, by a string, from somewhere. Somebody should have found me so financially corrupt that I was just, barely hanging on by a string, like barely gasping for air. And it wasn't even that. It was such a relief that I could step down so easily. I didn't think the step down would be this easy. I for sure thought I was going to, collapse. I was just going to internally collapse. And it didn't happen. Because I was so consistent with my credit. Because I paid my bills on time. Because I put them first. They put me first when I didn't have any money. So I was like, okay. And because I've always been there for my mom, help her when she asks me to do something, I do it. Making sure I help and I cook and I pay my bills on time. I never had an issue with paying my rent. She helped me when I needed help. She stepped in and she, she excused me for a couple of rent payments when I didn't have the money. I'm just like, oh my God. Just the favor just coming in like Jesus. I realized how important a roof over my head was when I was working, but I truly understand it now. And now that, I have enough money to sustain me till April of next year, as long as I don't touch it, as long as I don't get the urge to buy anything on Amazon, the money is there. And my rent and everything, all my credit cards, everything is paid all the way up till April of next year. And on top of that, I get $250 a month in food stamps. And believe me, it's not about pride. It's just necessity at this point. I don't even see it past, oh my God, I'm too good for it. No, this is not about me being better than COVID. This is about adjusting to the circumstance and taking whatever I can get. And that takes care of the food for the month. So I'm just like, oh my God. Unless they're having, go to the movies for free or for $7, I mean it. I appreciate God. I thank Him just for, for providing this opportunity to me. Today I look at the YouTubers and, some of them are, they started from the bottom and now they're at 200,000 subscribers and they're pulling in like tens of $1,000s a month in revenue. And I'm just, it's something about me. It's like, how come that's not happening for me? Like, you know what I mean? And then I kind of look at it. There's a certain dynamic you have to have within to expel such energy for entertainment. You got to be consistent with it. You got to be able to handle it. It's not that I can't handle it, but I'm a little spent in that department. I'm a little spent mentally and physically, and I'm not ready to just expose the flaws that came from dipping in myself so severely to maintain some type of balance. You know what I mean? Because the drive to be at that point will force you to expose your own secrets, your own, your skeletons in the closet, and then you have to keep it in the open. Once you tell somebody what's going on in your life, if you try to change the subject, they're going to want to know why. And you have people who professionally dig and find out secrets, to keep the peach juicy, if you know what I mean. Tiny houses. How I feel about tiny houses. I would live in a tiny house. I would. I always have this thing about having money. Like, if I ever ran into a bunch of money and I had to live on my own, I have a very entertaining, interesting life. I'm not going to, expose my secrets. But I'm the type of person that has to be on the move. Like, I would have several low-key, very humble residences across the country. Maybe even internationally. Have 2 internationally, and then a bunch of, like, 4 or 5 of them across the country. Each having vehicles at each address. And then, I'm not going to get too deep in it, but there would be definitely a circle of life that would encourage my creativity so much that it would be based around my writing, to feed my ability to write and to be creative. Living a life that requires me to do things at the spur of the moment, that challenges me to make decisions that determine who I am as a woman. And then becoming that free and that natural, and then purifying myself from within, and then letting the information flow. I mean, such a plan, it's detriment. But to come into that money, you will have to do things that make you that explorer. Like, how am I going to come across the type of money I need to be that type of person, besides playing the lottery or becoming big in social media? And I have to be careful of the demons I've already created in the world without being sapped before I can even open a door to accept the responsibility. A lot of us get tapped for our energy before we even reach the surface. You know what I mean? It's like you're at the surface for air, and then here comes the beast from the lagoon. Here comes the octopus leg pulling you down before you even reach the surface. The crab in the bucket scenario. And you have all this energy, say that you worked so hard, you were so prepared, you stabilized yourself so well, and before you can even get to the surface to manifest it, it's tapped. You can't use it. I can't explain to you that type of frustration. I can't explain to you the nail in the head when it comes to feeling that way. I think dealing with that stress has probably been more painful than anything else. There's one thing when you can't fight your own battles the way you want to, and you have to maintain celibacy in a very sexualized nature, in a very undersexed body with very intense and federally angry sexual aggression. And you just need an outlet to do it, and your outlet is tapped. That makes you drop your pen and ball your fist and bang the table. And then you have to stop yourself and say, maybe if I take a walk, that's even good. But walking encourages creativity. And then you're back at square one. It's like Groundhog's Day all over again. You keep living the same thing over and over and over again. I think tiny houses are cool. I think it's a tedious nature. The thing about, it's the money, the financial, it's very smart. But just the tininess, being swept away by whatever, like, it's the safety. Safety questions me about, where this tiny house would be located. And then, not being so paranoid, thinking somebody's going to break in my tiny house. And then, all the walls are going to fall down, and I'm truly homeless at the end of the situation. Because that's what it comes down to, homelessness. Am I homeless? Am I financially homeless? If something happened and I was on my own today, would I be homeless? That's the general question. And then you got to look at yourself in your home. What kind of homeless person are you? Are you a bitter homeless person that pees on themselves and just all your issues are surface that you just don't care? Are you the homeless person that still has Christmas spirit despite it all? Somebody who, even though they don't have a pot to piss in, you still got a notebook and a pen, and you're still being creative, and that creativity sustains you? Are you a homeless person who, even though you have nowhere to stay, you set up a tent, you set up your own tiny house, and you have somewhere to live, even though the safety of it is in question, and it can be, you know, ravished or broken at any moment, and your four walls could fall down, and you find yourself just out in the open with no walls to protect you? Is that the type of homeless person you are? Are you bent on vengeance, and you, just because you're homeless, you want everybody else to be homeless, so you just ruin everything you come across? I think that's the spirit of this conversation: homelessness. What kind of homelessness has COVID caused you? What kind of behavior is it forcing you to rely on? I guess I gotta look at that in myself. What kind of behavior COVID has forced me to rely on? And the only real behavior is the ability to sit still and let my body replenish itself. Let my spirit come back into the fullness of my body. Let my mind catch up to the decisions that I've made, and the decisions I was forced to make, and the decisions that were forced on me. Let me, get into that and not be so pushed back from my own thinking that I'm in a point B in every single situation. Not by, obviously it's not by choice. If it was my choice, I'd be at point A in everything, regardless of the activity needed to maintain it. I'm active when I want. Oh, excuse me. When I want something, it's there, and nobody's, and there's no danger involved. I'm at a full sprint about it. It's not a question. If there's a responsibility behind it, I'm there too. As long as it's not in danger. A lot of times, being grown doesn't mean, you're immune from danger. A lot of us, well, I'm grown, I make my own decisions. That doesn't mean you're immune from danger. You can't just make decisions because you're grown. I had to learn that. I'm definitely seeing myself in a different context. I found this website yesterday where they sell like mint condition old school cars. Not old school, but like, from the 90s and the early 2000s. These are people who buy cars and they don't use them. Like, somebody bought this car. It could have been a lady, and maybe her job was nearby. She never really drove it. The thing is like 20 years old and only has 30,000 miles on it. But it's still a 20-year-old car. Or it's a 30-year-old car with no miles. And the interior is impeccable. It's like it's right off the lot. And because it's, it's so old, they're only selling it for a couple of thousand. But the thing is in mint condition and runs perfectly. Like, I love looking at cars that remind me of a certain time in my life. You know what I mean? I was like, I would love to buy a couple of these cars. Not that, such a situation ever come up, but I, never say never. Brandy taught me that in the late 90s, never say never. I had ideas and, how to get my writing essence its own personality. And she needs a personality. She doesn't need a job. She needs a personality. She needs a character. And in that characterization, in that personalness, she'll, that's where the ability to write comes from. And then through her, I can, really release that quality material. A lot of times in being creative, I just think, I just got to create something. No, a lot of times you just have to creatively express what's already in you. Just take experiences you've been through and then push the narrative. And writing isn't always just pen to paper. Writing could be camera to face. It can be voice to microphone. It could be hand to paint to canvas. I mean, writing isn't just words from your mind. Words can be very abstract. Words can be in any format. It doesn't have to be the physical letters. It can be the expression of paint and what that means to the eye when you digest it and you give it an expression. In words, writing is just a form of expression. And I had to learn to sit back and think, my fashion style is writing, is a creative writing.